What's up, everyone? This is Pooka, and the 2014 State Championships are this weekend, actually. They'll go on for the next 3 weeks, but the first weekend will start, well, on Saturday, and I just thought I would go ahead and take a look at what decks are popular right now and what you're going to run into, or what you should expect to see if you do attend one of these State Championships. So we're going to go through the popular archetypes, just take a look at what they are, what the cards are, what the strategies are for these decks, so you can get a little more prepared for these tournaments. So let's take a look at all of these decks that you should expect to see and get a metagame preview for State Championships. Without a doubt, the Pokemon that's had the biggest impact on the Pokemon TCG out of the brand new X and Y set has been Yveltal EX. The attack Evil Ball is downright ridiculous, does 20 damage, plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, and also you get the benefit of cards like Dark Patch for energy acceleration and Muscle Band or Dark Claw. Both of them give plus 20 damage on the attack, and it just adds up very quickly, and it's kind of ridiculous how easily you can get knockouts with this card. So one of the biggest decks to come out of X and Y has just been a pretty straightforward Darkrai Yveltal deck. Darkrai EX has always been pretty powerful, but I think Yveltal EX is the star of the show right now, and I mean, like I said, Evil Ball is pretty ridiculous. Some versions just run straight Darkrai and Yveltal. Some feature other attackers like Bouffalant and Absol as well, and then we see other versions that run Garbodor, so we can shut off popular abilities like Blastoise's Deluge or Embor's Inferno Fandango. All of them are very powerful in their own right, but one thing's for sure, expect to see a lot of Yveltal EX at State Championships. The other big decks coming out of X and Y revolve around the Fairy-type Pokemon Aromatisse. It's a Stage 1 Pokemon that has the ability Fairy Transfer, which allows you to move any of your Fairy energy around wherever you want. This allows you to build a very versatile deck using a lot of Prism and Rainbow energy, since they provide every type of energy. This allows you to run all sorts of types of attackers, including Yveltal EX, or even things like Landorus EX, or pretty much any type of EX you want because you have every type of energy. Basically, you just choose which Pokemon you want to counter, hit their weakness because you are running every type of energy, and you can move it around seamlessly with Aromatisse's ability. You get cards like Fairy Garden to give your Pokemon free retreat if they have a Fairy energy attached, or you can just use good old Darkrai EX, since you'll also have Darkness energy, which will give you free retreat. Now, I've noticed there are two main types of this deck. The first one runs Xerneas for energy acceleration with the Geomancy attack, which allows you to get 2 Fairy energy into play, really allows you to speed up your Pokemon. And the other one I've seen revolves around Thundurus EX, which kind of has a similar idea. This basically plays like a Team Plasma deck, but, you get the movement of the energy with Aromatisse, but Thundurus EX's Raiden Knuckle allows you to recover some energy and even accelerate sometimes. So look out for Aromatisse decks. They're certainly out there as well. Speaking of Team Plasma Pokemon, another big deck to expect at State Championships is these Team Plasma decks. Now, these have been strong throughout the season so far, and now they get the addition of Muscle Band, which really increases the damage output. In the past, Lugia EX struggled to get one-hit knockouts on those big EX Pokemon, but now with Muscle Band, the math adds up just right. If you have 3 Deoxys EX in play, which adds 30 damage to your attack, and then a Muscle Band, a Plasma Gale does 170 damage, which can knock out popular Pokemon EX like Keldeo EX, Rayquaza EX, Yveltal EX. Any EX that is 170 HP, Lugia knocks out in one hit now, and with that Overflow ability, you collect 3 prize cards in just one attack. This on its own makes the deck very, very strong, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Team Plasma decks very popular as well. Another Another thing this deck has going for it is Thundurus EX does have type advantage over Yveltal EX. A Raiden Knuckle can do tons of damage just for 1 energy. So Team Plasma decks certainly have a lot going for them. The next big deck we're going to look at is Raybor. Now this is a deck that really came on strong after the rule changes. You know, the biggest one being the Pokemon catcher change that's now on a coin flip. We saw Emboar decks pop up using Emboar's Inferno Fandango to power up Rayquaza EX, and you can just Dragon Burst for 1-hit knockouts over and over. That's pretty much always going to be good, so this deck is going to continue to be good. However, it gained quite a bit with the addition of Delphox. It's a Stage 2 Pokemon that has the Mystical Fire ability, allows you to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, and it really just gives you a lot of stability once it comes into play. It also has a good attack that's very similar to Keldeo EX's, but it's for fire Pokemon. So we get, kind of a stability Pokemon along with another solid attacker. We also get Professor's Letter, which allows you to search for 2 basic energy cards on just an item card. So you just get to search out your energy faster, and that just makes your deck even smoother, and it works even better. So Raybor, definitely a very strong deck. When it sets up quickly, there's not too many decks that can deal with it. Although they're very similar to Emboar decks, we'll go ahead and mention Blastoise decks as well. It's a very similar strategy. Get your Blastoise in play, use the Deluge ability to power up big attackers very quickly and do tons of damage. The main attacker here is Black Kyurem EX, which has Black Ballista, does 200 damage, and I think that's always going to be good. 200 knocks out basically everything, and if you do that every turn, you're going to win pretty quickly. The difference is, we don't have Delphox to work with, instead we have Keldeo EX, which has that nice rush in ability, and has the same attack as Delphox, it's just for water types. So, Blastoise, another deck to look out for. Basically the same as Emboar, but there are a few little differences. Next up, we have another deck that's been around for a little while now, and that's going to be Virizion Genesect. So this deck gains a little bit of strength from Muscle Band, which allows Virizion EX to Emerald Slash for a little more damage, doing 70 instead of 50, does allow you to hit some nice numbers that you weren't able to in the past. As always, Genesect EX's ability Red Signal is going to be very good. Being able to pull something off your opponent's bench and attack it is always going to be strong, and G-Booster doing 200 damage is always going to be good too. So this deck probably won't go anywhere, and it's always going to be very strong. It's very simple, but it hits hard and it's very consistent. There are other versions of this deck that run Ho-Oh EX for knocking out other grass Pokemon like Virizion and Genesect, but also for energy acceleration. Since you have that rebirth ability, you can energy switch onto other Pokemon and get some energy out of nowhere. Since you run different types, then you can run different attackers as well. Heck, you can even throw in your own Yveltal EX into this deck if you want. So Virizion Genesect, another popular deck that you're also going to have to keep in mind. Overall, those are going to be the 6 most popular decks you see at state championships. Now, of course, there can be all sorts of crazy things that pop up. You never know when somebody's just going to come out of nowhere with some rogue deck and surprise everybody, but you can't really expect that, so I don't really know how to cover that, but there are other decks that are kind of lower tier that are just good in specific metagames that could show up as well. It's tough to account for these decks, but they're things like Trevenant Excelgor, Kingdra Greninja, Empoleon decks. There's all sorts of stuff that I didn't mention because if I mention every deck that's in the format, we would probably be here all day. There are lots and lots of options for you to use right now, but I just want to give you a look at what I feel will be the 6 most popular decks at state championships. Just a reminder to anybody who is attending state championships, the Swiss rounds are 50 minutes plus 3 turns, best of 3 Swiss. So be prepared for that. It's not single game. Just brush up on your rules just so you know how the tournament structure works. And it cuts to a top 8, not top 16 like we've seen in years past. Also, be sure to check out the Pokegym if you haven't already. A lot of these tournaments are using online registration. Some of them actually require it. So be sure to take a look, register online if you can, and just make sure you're prepared. But I've done all I can do for you. The rest is up to you. So if you're going to state championships, good luck. Hope you do well. Thanks for watching. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.